Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com here at the hockey rink. We're going to test out the D3100 today, shooting hockey. What better way to test it than to shoot hockey? Tough lighting situation. Going to use a 70-200 2.8 Nikon version 2 because I already sent back that Sigma, but that is the ideal lens to use when you're shooting sports and shooting hockey. So we're going to see how this D3100 handles the focus, handles the cold, handles shooting fast because it has different modes for doing that. We're going to test out different focusing modes, and also I'm going to explain those to you. So I want to see how this handles over the D3000, which I think it's going to be much better at 1600, maybe 3200. We'll see what both of them do, but we will see the noise and see what happens because this is a bottom line camera. It is the lowest end that Nikon makes, so we have to see how it reacts to everything, and we'll go from there. Let's see what it does. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. I'm getting ready to shoot the hockey game with the Nikon D3100, and I'm here with my good pal, Stevie Forsyth from Boston. He's going to be reffing today, so I'm going to get some awesome pictures of him probably picking his nose.
Not. More than likely not.
More than likely not. Now, a good story about when Steve and I first reffed together. He had a rough game that day. He cracked his helmet when he hit it on the ice, but that's better than cracking your head. He owed me a case of beer for that, because if you're an official and you fall, right, you owe a case of beer?
That is correct, which I still have not paid him.
Well, that's because I don't drink beer.
Exactly.
So that's half the battles. I don't drink beer, so it doesn't really matter.
No.
You ready for this, Steve? You ready for me to take pictures of you skating?
Of course.
In Steve Forsyth fashion?
Very much so.
So you have any photo questions while we're standing here before you have to go?
Just make sure you get my good side, otherwise I'll break the camera.
What's your good side, Steve?
I don't know.
Is it right around here?
It's the right side. Yeah.
Are you wearing a cup?
Hey, fellas. Yes, I am.
Just cup check. Just checking to see if you're wearing a cup. All right. So we'll be back. Shh. We'll be back. Do refs need to see? Is that why you're cleaning your gear?
No.
Anyway, coming up after this break, you're going to see all of the samples from the D3100, how it acted, how it reacted, and hopefully Steve's making some penalty calls, because maybe I should just mic him up for the game. All right, see you there. All right, here are my settings. Nikon D3100 shooting at f2.8, 2/50th of a second at 1600 ISO. I don't want to push it too much further because you know what happens when you start getting into Swiss cheese area, but we may try it. I may bump it up a little bit to see what happens, but right now, 2/50th of a second, which should be enough to freeze these kids skating up and down the ice and capture the action. I'm not sure if I'm underexposing or overexposing, but I can always bring it back, shooting raw, to tweak it just a little bit if I need. We're shooting the hockey game now. It's playing 3100, Nikon D3100 with continuous focus in the focus, what focus mode again? I am in dynamic area AF so that it will track the subject as they're moving, and you'll see that in the photos. I'm also on multi-frame, so I can shoot continuously. I think it's 3 frames, 3.5. I don't even know how many frames a second it is, but we'll see. So far, good focus, good zooming, nice and smooth, nice tracking.
Come here.
All right, so coming up are some more samples out of the D3100, all shot raw, all not cropped, and you will get your chance to download the full res edited files to play with. So here we go. This is just a shot taken at 1600 ISO with the Sigma 70-200 2.8, and you can see it handles very well here. I was very happy with what it did. Shot manually. I like it. This next image coming up is shot with a 35 1.8 at the bar. It's my buddy Jay likes to drink some SoCo and ice. That's about it. Handles color. I like the color, like the background. Pretty happy with it. Then my buddy Al Z here. He is a grandfather, a good friend of mine. Invited me over to his Christmas party where I took a bunch of sample images with the D3100. This was taken with a 14-24 at 1600 ISO. Same with this. This is also the 14-24 at 1600 ISO, just to convert it to black and white, just because that felt better at the moment. And really, the camera handled very well in this situation. I was happy with the focusing, especially tracking the little girl here. I was happy with the color I was getting, the clarity that I was getting at 3200. Very happy with it. So it handled very well, especially with good glass on it, even with the 35 1.8, which is expected. Here you get to see some color, different things of the xylophone. So for those of you guys who like to test to see how the color rendition is, that's why I put this image here, so you can see how the color handles in the D3100. This is shot at 3200 ISO, focused in on the little baby, and the quality is great. You'll see it when you download the file that this image held up very, very well at 3200 ISO. So I took the camera out to a concert, and I tested out. This is with a 35 1.8 shooting at 3200 ISO, and you can see that the color is good, the clarity is right on, and everything seems to be working well. I was able to lock my focus in AFC. I also worked with continuous focus, which I'm pretty sure I shot this one at, and you know, it did what it should. Well, it did more than what I expected it to do, at least comparing it to the D3000. These files are much, much cleaner than the D3000 ever was. Now keep in mind, if you get your files, if you're off in your exposure and you miss by an extreme amount and you're changing 2 stops, 2.5 stops, you're going to introduce more grain than if you got your exposure correct in the first place. So the closer you get your exposure, the less grain and noise you're going to introduce into your photos later on. You could always use that luminosity smoothing that Lightroom 3 offers, but remember, when you do that, you're getting rid of sharpness. Your images will not look as sharp, and that's something that, you know, I can't do without. Sharpness and clarity of images is what I really, really, really look for. So this was shot with a 70-200 2.8 VR2, and it is solid. You'll look at the sample image and see how solid that is right on John's face. Gave Gizzy O'Toole the camera. He shot this photo of the band as they were playing, and he was using the 14-24 2.8. So this is at 3200 as well. So it handles very well. Even the wide angles, look at the colors. And then close up, this needed to be corrected at least a stop in the pit, and, you know, it worked out very well. I think the image turned out very well and held up very nicely, even with the edits going on. So Gizzy shot Walt here from the band Sinai, sitting on the riser as he's singing. And again, taken with the 14-24 on the D3100. So I took this of Gizzy in the pit, just shooting so he could have something cool. But yeah, this is with also the D3100. And really handled very well. Very happy with what it did. And the last final image that Gizzy took coming up just shows you the color. It picked up some very, very nice color. So overall, you'll hear what I have to say about the focusing and everything else about this camera coming up at the very end. Video tests. That's right. Here's some video from the D3100 shot at a bar. So we have the D3100 with a 35 1.8. That's why there's such a shallow depth of field. I was focused in on the camel of the, what do you call this thing, an ashtray, while the person smoking would put the cigarette down, pick the cigarette up. That would be my fingers. The only times I ever actually touch a cigarette is when I'm actually moving it for this test video, because I do not smoke. I've actually never smoked a cigarette
in my life, and I prefer to keep it that way. So you can see that the quality is fine. This is at 3200 ISO in a very low light situation. It's picking up the smoke very well. The background is blown out. I don't care about the grain. It looks really good to me. You can see the colors. You can see the Marlboro. You can see everything. Here I'm just tweaking the focus a little bit just to see what happens when I focus in on the burning cigarette. So that is the first video sample, and that is wrapping up now. And there is more on its way. So this is just a simple little test with the 35 1.8 and the D3100 auto-focusing during video. So watch it jump around. You can hear it focusing. This is just testing out the autofocus.
No! That's gross. What does that look like? Is that throwing off your light?
No.
Pretty cool. Bling. You're bling-tastic. Alright, you know what? I'm actually gonna head Starbucks.
This live video is being taken with the Nikon 70-200 VR2 with the VR on. Now you can hear the muffled sound in the background. The camera isn't going to do a great job picking up the audio, but no digital SLR is going to pick up audio very well with the built-in microphones. This is why you see a lot of external recordings being done for just about everything. So I brought the levels way down for this because all you're going to hear are the cymbals crashing and the drums beating. But I wanted to just show you what's going on with the video. It's handling itself extremely well here. You don't see any of that side-by-side jelloing that you see in the major tests like I did at the beginning where you wobble it back and forth left to right really fast. Most of the things that you're going to be shooting video with are going to be, you know, easy to focus or are going to stay stationary. Like he's playing drums. You saw the zoom in to the zoom out or the zoom out to the zoom in, and then the refocusing is going on. But everything is being captured here. And in the D3100 video is being captured basically in full auto. It's overriding the system. You can't set it manually from that I know of like you can in the D7000 and the D3S and things like that. That's why this is a beginner camera. It's the entry level. You're not going to get all the bells and whistles up front that you would get if you paid a little more and got some of the cameras that stepped up a little bit. So that, you know, keep that in mind that when you're reviewing or thinking about cameras, don't rip them to shreds. This is an entry level and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles for a very good reason. But it really did a great job and this video shows you that. So that should wrap up everything. Coming up next is the full-on review.
Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, here with the final review and verdict of what I think about the Nikon D3100 entry-level camera that Nikon has come out with that replaces the Nikon D3000. Now with this D3100, I don't even know how many megapixels. I don't know how many frames a second it shoots. All I know is that when I do my tests, I use the camera, I run it through its tests, I don't even call them tests. I use the camera. That's what it comes down to. Who else would do it? Why would you do a review where all you do is shoot charts? But anyway, this isn't a rant about that. I tested this camera out. I put it through extreme circumstances where I think some of the hardest photography has had, and that's in low light situations, higher ISOs, shooting sports, shooting concerts. If the camera can work in those situations, it's going to continue to work in other kinds of situations. All right, good, that's still going. So I'm letting you know that I am shooting this video with the Nikon D3100. It's giving me 10 full minutes. One thing it doesn't have built into it is an audio in, so an input. So I'm using this Zoom H1 and my wireless microphones to record the audio that I'll sync up later. So let's look at the build quality. It's a low-end camera. It's a $600 camera. It's not made of steel. It's a plastic camera, but so what? You're getting what you pay for. The camera is going to do just about everything you need it to do. When I shot it at the hockey game, the focus was fast. The speed of shooting was incredibly fast, and I was really surprised about that focus. It was fast. I'm sure I was using a 70-200 2.8, but it kept up very well for a low-end camera. It handled itself in low-light situations very well. Shooting hockey at 3200 ISO, when looking at those files on the computer, which you've seen the files, and you're going to get a chance to download the full-res images to look at, it handled so well. So much better than my D3000. But that's expected, that when you have a newer camera, the camera is going to obviously work better than the older camera. So, you know, one very important thing that I need to say about these cameras is when I'm testing them out, I'm using my lenses. I'm using all 2.8 lenses or better, like the 35 1.8 that Nikon puts out. That is a $200 lens that anybody can get for any Nikon camera, even full frame, but you really want to get it just for the DX because it's going to let in a lot of light. And that is the key to getting great images. I don't care what camera you have, whether it's a D3S or a D3100. If you put crappy lenses on it, you're not going to get the best results. So with that said, I am not a big fan of the kit lenses. They actually didn't even send me the kit lens because I told them I don't even want the kit lens because I'm not going to use it. So it comes down to putting good lenses in front of everything. In this case, I'm using the 14-24 on this. I used that during the concerts. I used the 35 1.8 during concerts, 24-70, and 70-200. You can see that the images turned out very well. I am very happy with the low light capability of this camera. It's much better than its predecessor, which is a given. And, you know, let's talk about, well, put good glass in front of your camera and you're going to get great images. Let's talk about the camera itself. It feels good in the hands. The buttons are in the right places. It has a lot of outside of the box buttons, meaning that it's not all menu driven. To have the single frame, multi-frame, the timer mode, and the quiet mode up top on a dial, you know, on a switch that moves back and forth is great. Most low-end entry cameras are all menu driven, meaning you have to get into the menu in order to make the changes. In this case, if you hit the info button in the back, you will get access to your basically any change that you want to make right on the back of the camera. It's quick. That is a fast way to make changes. Say I want to go to AFS to AFC. I hit the info button. I can dial right up to it using the up, down, left, right, BA, select start button and hitting the OK, and I'm all set again. If I want to change the ISO, there's a function button that I can set on the side that I can hit that, turn the dial, and I'm changing the ISO. So the menu system is smart. Everything is where it should be, and it just works. And that's what's great about the Nikons, is the menu systems are laid out very well that you can just use it and know what you're doing. Also, for you beginners who are starting out with this camera, you have a built-in guide. you hit the question mark, and it basically tells you whatever menu setting you're on, what that setting does and what it means. So you don't always have to carry around the manual, which is awesome because you don't always carry around the manual. So I'm happy with the design. I'm happy with the image quality. The battery life is very good. I don't worry about those little things. What I worry about when I do a review is how does it handle in low light situations. If the camera handles well in low light situations, it's going to handle well in the normal situations. Bright daylight, shooting outdoor sports, shooting portraits, shooting just anything outside. The camera's going to handle itself. It's going to do very well. Again, good glass, good pictures, and it doesn't have to be expensive to get good glass. So that brings us up to video. I used the video. The key feature that they were touting about this camera is that it did autofocus video. It does do autofocus video. Sometimes it doesn't engage, other times it engages when I don't want it. But you're not buying this camera to be a video camera. How much time do we have? Good, we're good. You don't buy this camera to be a dedicated video camera. It's recording this because it's not moving. So it's going to record this very well. It's going to record interviews very well as long as you have your own way of recording audio, because the internal mono audio, which I will switch to during this recording at some point to show you what it sounds like, isn't that good. It sounds like you're in a toilet, and I don't like talking like I'm in a toilet. So for video, I'm very happy with the 1080 at 24 frames a second. Sure, the Canon has more options in terms of 60 frames a second at slower shutter speeds or slower frame rates, but you know what? I'm buying this camera for stills. It's a bonus that it has video. I'd rather have better image quality on stills than on video. And if you're looking to do video and you want audio input, then you're going to buy a D7000. That's what you're going to step up and do. You know, that's where you're going to go. So there is really no knock against this camera. For $600 or $650 with a kit lens, it's a great way to get into the game. Add another $200, yes, to buy a 35 1.8, but you know that once you buy that lens, you're gonna understand what I'm saying by using better glass. Better glass, better pictures, no matter what camera you put it on. So I'm happy with this camera. It passed my tests in terms of shooting a concert in low light situations. The autofocus is fast. The high ISO capability is pretty good. It's nowhere as near as what the D7000 is going to give you or what the D3S gives you. But again, it's an entry-level camera, and it has to be reviewed as if it is an entry-level camera. I am a pro, but that doesn't mean I would buy this to be buy this camera and use it as a professional camera. It's a entry-level camera. It's the very beginning, the very basics, and it passes that test. So if you are a new photographer just looking for a camera to get started, the color, the clarity, the sharpness, the focus, the speed, everything in this camera works very well. So if you're looking to become a photographer and take the first steps, this is a good choice. This or the D7000. Probably this to start with better glass. If you're just somebody who has kids, you just had a baby, and you want to capture the moments, capture a couple of videos here and there, this is a great camera to start with. It's not too expensive. If you look at the $300 and some you could spend on a point and shoot camera, if you took that money and spent it on a digital SLR, sure, you may spend twice as much, but you're getting something that you can take with you. You know, the accessories you buy for this camera will go with you to the next one. You're going to invest in the system, whether it's Nikon or Canon, whatever system you decide to invest in, you buy the better glass, you buy the accessories, and you take it with you to the next camera. But yeah, I'm really happy with this D3100. Time, good, we're wrapping it up. I'm very happy with it. It did what I expected it to do. Actually, it did better than I expected it to do compared to the D3000. So stick with it. If this is your first camera, congratulations, check it out. Make sure you like this video, leave comments, sign up on fronosphoto.com, and we're here to help you. So that's my review. It passes the test. Jared Polin, fronosphoto.com. See ya.